The Indian economy has been facing one blow after another. Factory output is falling, the rupee is depreciating rapidly, and inflation is still rising despite repeated rate hikes. If all that wasn't enough, the rural economy is now showing early signs of a slowdown. How bad is the slowdown and what does it mean for the broader economy? Nikhil Shivadas has this report.
It's been a lean year for 39-year-old Rajiv Mondal. Running a two-wheeler showroom in Diamond Harbour in West Bengal, he recalls a time when nearly half his sales used to be to the 200 villages surrounding this small town. But times have changed.
Sales are down in percentage terms. If I sold 50 units in a month last year, this year it's down to 30 to 35 units.
Rajiv Mondal's tale is one of many that is worrying marketers in India. After all, Bharat has long been considered the consumption hub that will drive India's economy into the future. The slowdown is the most visible in the FMCG sector, which depends on the rural economy for nearly 40% of its revenues. Experts estimate that the growth rates in the rural areas have dipped from 21% last year to just 17% this year. That's primarily because of high input prices, which in turn has led to a rise in product prices. According to experts, in the past few months, Dabur, Colgate-Palmolive and Emami increased prices across products by 8%. HUL raised prices of detergents by 8%, while Marico raised prices of its Parachute hair oil brand by 30%. The rise in prices has made consumers downtrade, and they may continue to do so in 2012.
Take something as simple as fuel cost going up. That has impacted everybody. A few people have been impacted by the interest rates and therefore the cost of EMI, etc. going up. So what all of that has done is challenged people's disposable income, and we're seeing some interesting shifts.
But these shifts are not to be taken lightly, because rural India accounts for 70% of the country's population, 56% of its income, 64% of its expenditure and 33% of its savings. The past 5 years have seen rural consumers splurge on a variety of goods, thanks to good monsoons, income from social welfare schemes like the NREGA, and last but not the least, the nearly 60,000 crore rupees saved thanks to the government's farm loan waivers of 2008. But the good times may finally be over.
What started to happen was that I'm still getting that 100 rupee or I'm still getting that 1000 rupee with the increase of minimum support prices or 100 days of income with respect to NREGA or loan waivers. So I have more money, but the value of that money has started to decrease because of rise in inflation.
According to global information and measurement company Nielsen, growth rates in 2011 were lower than last year for products such as personal care, packaged foods, hot beverages and contraceptives. And the demand for general purpose items is expected to remain at roughly the same levels.
The demand actually continues to go up, but the rate at which it was growing, say last year, this year it hasn't grown at the same rate. It's only growing up by 17%. What we've seen is that as inflation has led to prices of products increasing, the volume growth has come down, which has led to this overall decline in the growth rate.
That trend is expected to continue and deepen over the next year. That sense of an overall decline is spreading to other price-sensitive categories as well, and consumer durable companies are expecting sales to shrink further.
A large chunk of our business is filled with imported products or imported components. And as you know, the rupee depreciation has been pretty severe, almost 20-22%. And that definitely impacts the profitability of companies, leaving them with no choice but to increase prices.
If this rupee depreciation, will continue, yes, not only Sony, all the other brands might be considering the retail price, adjustment.
There has to be a price increase from 1st January. And if it goes up, it will be much higher price increase.
The decrease in rural spending is expected to take a heavy toll on the auto sector too. That's bad news for an industry reeling from falling sales. India's car sales for the first 8 months of this fiscal year are down 3.5% from a year earlier and are expected to be flat.
I don't think that there would be any significant revival of the car market in the next 2 or 3 months.
There's been a lot of money which has been pushed into the economy for consumption, so that's still holding. But I see that petering. I'm beginning to see the rural demand also beginning to peter now.
It's a reasonably good assumption that if the slowdown continues or gets any worse, that at some point in time it will certainly affect the two-wheeler business as well.
That slowdown will have far-reaching effects on the rest of the economy as well. It means that corporates will cut down on expansion plans and costs next year, and that in turn will hit the job market. HR and staffing experts believe that the hiring and employment outlook for the year 2012 will be conservative for at least the first 2 quarters of the year.
Organizations, whether the multinationals or the Indian organizations, are certainly getting seriously conservative and cautious about anything that will really be termed as growth and investment for 2012. The extent and the impact of that would essentially be different across different industry segments and also different across different levels of management.
Indeed, but that's not to say that hiring will be completely frozen. A survey by staffing firm Manpower indicates that in 2012, 43% of employers in India anticipate an increase in staffing levels. 35% expect no change in levels and only 2% predict a decrease. That's not all. 49% of employers in the mining and construction sector are bullish about hiring, followed by finance and insurance, real estate, manufacturing, transportation and utilities, public administration, and finally education. However, much of this activity still depends on domestic consumption.
The demand of talent in domestic IT companies have really gone up, and even the multinational companies are really hiring at a good pace, I would say. So IT sector for sure would be leading. So services sector is where we really see a lot of demand. At the same time, the banking, manufacturing, infrastructure, construction, some of the projects which government has already initiated under infrastructure and construction would see, hiring going up.
Pay packages are also expected to mirror this trend. Experts believe that salary increases will range between 10 to 11% compared to 15% in 2011.
A lot of companies will be kind of focusing on protecting the margins. So that essentially means they need to keep the employee cost under control. So our sense is this year is going to be a phase where companies are likely to look at the prevailing consumer price inflation and try to offer a salary wage increase just to protect an employee against the consumer price inflation.
Companies are looking to cut costs by hiring more people at junior and middle levels and from campuses.
The employment outlook for 2012 may not be as great as last year, but it's not too bad either, considering that globally jobs are tough to come by. In comparison, India is much better off.